Okay, everybody, here we are for episode 110 of Now Showing with Mike and Wayne. 110 of these episodes are out there of us just talking movies. So if that's something that you guys enjoy, we appreciate you for enjoying it, I guess. You know, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you're all right.
So in the past, we've talked we did a road movies episode, which covered some road thrillers, but a lot of like Almost Famous, as Wayne and I were just talking offline. Other kind of just buddy road movies and stuff. This one, we're going to specifically stick with road thrillers because we're going to review the brand new Queen Latifah ludicrous film, End of the Road, which is a road thriller.
It's just a thriller!
One day this will just become a showcase for your singing abilities, Wayne.
Well, it's not like we're going to lose any viewers.
That's true. No. That's true. It's not going to hurt. All right.
Maybe we should do a Mike and Wayne After Dark. Spice it up a little bit.
Spice it up. I'll take my shirt off, everybody, even though this is an audio-only podcast. That'll only disturb Wayne.
I am topless right now. Yes.
I'm bottomless. All right.
The directions we could take this.
Oh, yes. Okay, so I'm going to start off, Wayne. It's probably one that you haven't seen. I just rewatched it last night. It's from the 90s. I've seen this movie probably like 20 times. Again, we talk many times about these movies that we saw when we were kids that were on HBO or Cinemax or whatever movie channels we had all the time. And this is one, it really didn't get a big theatrical release because it was a low budget movie. They put it in theaters for like a week and then they shoved it on home video. And then it kind of made the rounds on TV. And that's where I think it gained its popularity. It's called Highway to Hell. It is from 1992, directed by At de Jong. He's like Norwegian, I think, or something like that. Swedish, something over there. Written by Oscar winner Brian Helgeland. That was one thing I discovered last night as I was watching. I'm like, wait, Brian Helgeland wrote this? He won the Oscar for L.A. Confidential. I was like, okay. It stars Patrick Bergen, Adam Stork, Chad Lowe, brother of Rob, Christy Swanson, and Oscar nominee Richard Farnsworth. It is this film, Wayne, where this couple played by Chad Lowe and Christy Swanson are eloping. They're teenagers. They're going to go get married in Las Vegas. And they get worried that, their parents are going to call the cops on them. So they end up ducking on the side road away from a cop. And they decide to stay. They have a map. They decide to stay on the side road. Well, they stop at a gas station to get gas. Richard Farnsworth is the gas station attendant. He warns them to not take this road. Don't go down this road. And then he says, if you see a Joshua tree and then you're going to see another one, make sure you drive super fast so you get past those two trees. And they're like, okay, dude, whatever. You're weird gas station guy. Yeah. So they're driving down the road. It's real dark. You can't see anything. And he starts to fall asleep. Well, he almost crashes his car. A cop is going to pull him over. Or that's later. So he almost crashes his car. And then all of a sudden this cop appears, scarred up face, takes his girlfriend, drives off and disappears. He goes back to the gas station. He's like, what the fuck just happened? Where's my girlfriend? What do you know? And so the gas station attendant has this car that he's kind of souped up, and you come to find out that he's been through this and that he basically runs this gas station to warn people not to go down this road. And he lost his long lost love to this highway to hell, if you will. And so Chad Lowe he takes this car and he's able to go through this portal to get to hell. And it's literal hell. And in this place, there's weird creatures. There's this hell cop. There's all these things that are everyone's just kind of meandering around. Very funny. And we see this a lot, I think, in like horror movies, 80s and 90s, or even just comedies and stuff. A whole family of comedians. Ben Stiller, Jerry Stiller, Ann Mara, and their daughter are all in this movie. Jerry Stiller plays a guy who gets shot by a hell cop almost immediately. Ann Mara runs the the diner. Ben Stiller's the cook at the diner who's like frying meat on the outside sidewalk because they're in hell. and then he later returns as Attila the Hun. You have Gilbert Godfrey plays Adolf Hitler at one point.
Jesus.
It's a crazy movie, but it's actually a really fun film. Think of something like Maniac Cop or Psycho Cop. If you saw any of those movies back in the day, it's similar to that, just with this road thriller added into it, of where dusty desert roads, and he's trying to find his girlfriend. He's got to kind of go through all these trials and tribulations of to get her out of here, and then he makes a deal with Beelzebub, the devil, to, if he beats Hellcop in a race, that he could then escape with his girlfriend and this kid that they find that was taken by the devil, who's being like trained as his like successor. So yeah, it's a crazy movie, man. I really enjoy this film a lot. It's one of those ones, like, there are these movies, Wayne, from our childhood that are starting to make the rounds as cult classics. Like, people that are like 20 years younger than us are like, "Oh my god, you see this movie?" And this is one of those films. It's got a special edition Blu-ray from about 5 years ago. So people recognize this film now. It's out there. It's been discussed on tons of movie shows and stuff. It is on Tubi for free, so if you want to check it out, the acting obviously is a bit hokey, because it's one of those movies that if you're not from this horror world, I think it's hard to be believable. I thought Christy Swanson did a really nice job, and Patrick Bergen as the devil did a good job. Chad Lowe was okay, so that's where I'm going with this. Is Rob Lowe's brother Chad Lowe is just okay. And it's funny because Rebecca was like, she was kind of looking at the screen, not really paying attention. She's like, "Is that Rob Lowe?" I'm like, "No, that's his brother." lesser known brother, was married to Hilary Swank for some time. Yeah, so that's the first recommendation I have, is Highway to Hell. It's kind of a 90s nostalgia, if you will. Fun movie, just interesting watch, and I recommend people go check it out. So the next one we have, Wayne, is one I know you're familiar with, is from 2001. It's about 10 years after Highway to Hell.
Ooh, I wonder if it's the one I'm thinking of.
And it's Joyride.
Not the one I was thinking of, but
no,
I
not
the movie.
Okay. Paul Walker, and the late Paul Walker, of course, directed by John Dahl. Steve Zahn is in it, Lily Sobolewski. So Paul Walker, Steve Zahn play brothers. Lily Sobolewski is the girlfriend of Paul Walker, and they go on this similar. You know what, Wayne? I would say similar to the movie we're about to review, because there's something that happens that's caused by one of the siblings that then causes basically the reaction from the villain in this film. What are your initial thoughts when I mentioned Joyride? What do you go to? What do you think of?
Gosh, man, I remember the initial just messing around on the not microphone, but the
CB
radio, right?
Yep.
Something like that.
The CB radio, yeah.
And just like, like, how do y'all think that's not a man messing with? I mean,
right, yeah.
But just the motel scene, like, just with was that pink champagne, I think, and
yeah.
And then, of course, the candy cane. It's like, oh god, here it comes.
You get the great Ted Levine. He never appears on screen, but he is the voice of the evil trucker, who just repeats throughout the movie, because Steve Zahn and Paul Walker come with this name of this character, Candy Cane, and that's like their truck sign or whatever they're pretending to be, because they're just in a regular car. They have a CB radio though, and you'll hear Ted Levine's creepy, Silence of the Lambs voice come on. Candy cane, candy cane. I think our generation, that's what we remember from this movie mostly. I remember when I first watched this film, I was like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I like Steve Zahn. Paul Walker's okay. I like Lily. Let's see what this is. I didn't have any high hopes for it, but I really enjoyed this film. It's like action packed. It gets right into it. Similar to what we're going to talk about today, and a lot of the movies that of this ilk, they get into the road thriller aspect of the film very quickly, and then the rest of it is just kind of a white knuckle ride right to the end. You're just held in suspense of what's going to happen. Joyride is definitely one of those. I don't know. It's not forgotten about. I don't think. I think people know about this movie, but it's maybe not talked about as much. And I think people should talk about this film because it really is a really entertaining movie, and I stand by anything that Steve Zahn is in. Usually, he makes better, and I would agree in this one. It's kind of a weird role for him because he's usually the funny guy. He does have a few funny moments in here, but it's a very serious film. I definitely Joyride. Recommend this one. Check it out if you could find it. I'm sure it's out there somewhere. Really entertaining film. Wayne, any other final thoughts on Joyride?
Just creepy goodness, man. It's just it gives you the creepies in all the right places. That sounds a little weird, but you know what I'm getting at, I think.
I got you. I got you.
I have a couple I wanted to ask your opinion about if these actually count for.
Sure.
I know we've talked about this one before. It's a creepy horror RV movie. What about The Hills Have Eyes? Would you consider this a road trip?
Yes,
thriller?
yes. I think Hills Have Eyes, both the original and the remake, do qualify. Road thriller is, I think, in my mind, it's like you said, like yes, a lot of the action is stationary in Hills Have Eyes, but it involves around a family going on a family vacation in like a camper. So I think it totally qualifies. The only horror ones I left off were Jeepers Creepers because that director is a known pedophile. So I didn't want to talk about those movies. But
I was going to ask about that, but I remember
yeah,
something along those
yeah,
lines.
we don't really talk about him on this show anymore. Plus, I'm not a huge fan of those movies, to be honest. Even when before I knew that. With Hills Have Eyes, the first one's really good, but it's very grindhouse, very low budget. It's Wes Craven, kind of still finding his way.
Is that
I
the one
like,
in the 70s?
yeah, made in like 1974, I want to say.
Yes.
And then the remake by Alexander Aja, I thought was better. Like it has that 2000s horror feel, which I know a lot of people aren't very fond of, but I think it's one of the ones that does it the best. And it's got a great young cast. Everybody looks really sweaty in it, like it's really fucking hot out.
Yeah.
You feel that throughout that movie.
Obviously, we have another Ted Levine
Yep.
role.
Yeah,
He's a really good bad dude.
He is. He plays just creepy really well. Obviously, even if it's just his voice from time to time, which I always find funny that he was the boss on Monk for like 8 years because I'm like, all I knew him at before that was this creepy dude who just terrified people. I'm like, how is he Monk's boss? But great character actor. But yeah, Hills Have Eyes. I mean, it's one I just bought recently digitally that I haven't watched again yet. I've been wanting to read the remake because I own the original. But I really enjoy this film. Wait, what are your thoughts on the remake of The Hills Have Eyes?
Funny story about this one. I went on a first date to go see this, and it was spur of the moment. We had met for coffee, and we enjoyed each other's vibe. It's like, well, I don't really want to go home yet. Neither do I. Let's go see a movie. Okay. I really want to see this. Oh, fuck. All right. She's going to find out I'm a wuss. I held my own, but I jumped a few too many times, I think. I never got a call back, so.
Yeah. She was like, he would not protect me if something like this happened.
Fuck that. Every man for himself. Take her.
I barely know her.
I just want to live.
He pushed me down. We just met.
Fatty needs an advantage.
Another one I want to mention. That's a good mention there, Wayne. I appreciate that one, especially any horror related stuff. Mad Max. You could argue that at least the first and the last one are definitely road thrillers. But I want to talk about the first one because we've talked about Fury Road and there's differences of opinion on this podcast, even though there shouldn't be.
Yeah, you're right. Admit that it's trash.
One of the greatest movies ever made. All right, so
the trash category. I don't hate Fury Road. That's just a shtick.
I know. All right, so Mad Max, the first one, came out in 1979, a dystopian film directed by George Miller, starring a very young Mel Gibson. It's this film where society has collapsed and they I can't. Do they take his family after? It's been a while since I've seen this.
The first one, that's the one where they're still kind of cops, right?
Yes, yeah. So like him and his girlfriend are on the run, and it's basically just like a survival movie. It's not anywhere near like what Road Warrior and Thunderdome and Fury Road have become. Even though, like I said, I think Fury Road definitely fits into the road thriller part of this because it's basically a big chase movie. Where Mad Max was very low budget, very much independent filmmaking out of Australia back in the late 70s, and it really it has that a kind of American grindhouse feel to it, and I really enjoy that element of this film. It's basically very similar to Fury Road. It's like he goes to one point and then he's got to go back to the other point to save them. So it's this very simplistic but still thought provoking film in a way that, and I think again, this is not me trying to like piss people off, but I think what the problem with Fury Road was on the outside, the story seemed very simplistic. But if you really look deep into that film, as with the first one, there's a lot going on there. It's about survival. It's about revenge. It's about getting the best of your captors, that kind of stuff. Stuff that I think is really emotional. And I think the first film, having a very little budget, maybe you see that a little more because that's kind of what you're left to focus on. It definitely launched Mel Gibson's career. Obviously he made two more of these films, but in the 80s is littered with Mel Gibson films that are basically, coming off of the fact that he became famous for Mad Max. It's just I feel like people talk about Road Warrior all the time, and it's only recently have they started referring to Road Warrior as Mad Max 2 Road Warrior. For a long time, it was just called the Road Warrior, and
That was going to be my question because on IMDb it's listed as Mad Max 2. I'm like, all right, where the fuck is the Road Warrior?
Yeah, so they just started calling it Mad Max 2 within the last like 5 to 10 years, I think. So, it it made people, I think, kind of forget about Mad Max when when it's just Road Warrior, because they're two completely like different films. And Road Warrior, I would argue, is better, but Mad Max, I think, is really good all on its own. And I think more people should talk about the original and should seek it out and watch it if you haven't seen it. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere because it's always
just overcoming the desperation of the situation and just like the theme, the got to get where we need to go. Our life depends on it type thing. So.
Exactly. And I like that element of these films. That like the one I would compare that Mad Max to, and even the one we're going to talk about, Breakdown. I talked about that yesterday as I was watching the movie we're going to review. It reminds Breakdown is a perfect example of a road thriller. Now we talked about Breakdown in our last road movies podcast. I'm not going to go into how much I love Kurt Russell and Breakdown. It's a great movie, but it very similar.
My trucks.
Huh? Yeah. Yep. Exactly. He gets JT Walsh just gives his wife a ride, and then he never sees his wife again until the end. Till he has to basically fight his way to find her till the end of the movie. And he's got like cops in his pocket and stuff like that. So it's this big, like kind of big movie in this little. It's a big concept, but in a like almost like an independent style of a film. And I love that. I love that aspect of these road movies, and that's where I think Mad Max, Joyride, and Highway to Hell all have the same thing that Breakdown does, and End of the Road, which is the movie we have coming up.
Thought of another one. I just want to run past you. What about 1993's A Perfect World?
That's a good one. That I didn't. You know what? I didn't even really think of that one. I really like that movie a lot. Kevin Costner, directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Clint Eastwood as well as the sheriff. Yeah, I mean, it fits. It definitely fits because it is thrilling to an extent. It's not like a lot of like road action, but it's the fact that he's kidnapped this young kid, and there doesn't seem to be a good outcome in sight, and so everyone's kind of just you're barreling down the script is barreling towards the end of what is going to be a very sad ending to a film. A really, really good movie. Very definitely underrated Clint Eastwood film.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, I just think it's a Kevin Costner movie, and Clint Eastwood is in that, and obviously he directed it. So, I'm pretty sure I've talked about this one before, so I won't spend a whole shitload of time on it. But yeah, you've got Kevin Costner and Clint Eastwood, like we talked about. Laura Dern is the deputy, or she's joined Clint Eastwood's team for some reason.
Something,
I don't
yeah,
remember.
someone, like young deputy or something.
Yeah. Obviously, we have a Ray McKinnon appearance, the crazy guy from Sons of Anarchy and
In
Mayans.
Mayans, I love Ray McKinnon. He's
Yes.
great.
And especially that character, just that he
Yeah.
plays on Sons and Mayans, just so twisted.
Love to hate him too.
Yeah, but it's a very interesting because the story, you've got two, escaped criminals, murderers, I believe.
Yeah.
The guy kidnaps a kid, kills his partner on the run, and but he's very wholesome with this kid in a, not
in a weird. It's one of those movies
sort of way, but
not done properly could be creepy, and I think they handle it very well. You never get the impression that he wants to do things to this child or anything. It's always kind of this platonic friendship that they develop along the way. It's just a really really good movie. Another one I used to watch all the time in the 90s that I just don't remember people talking about a lot. Granted, I was probably too young that my friends weren't like, "Hey, did you see Perfect World where Kevin Costner kidnaps a kid?" But
well, I mean, with us growing up at this time, a lot of times my parents probably shied away from this one just because of the context about who these guys are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I'm right there with you. And it popped up as I was looking up road thrillers because I'd like to try and contribute a little more.
No, that's a good one. I think
effort.
The next one that I was going to talk about that I think you definitely actually we'll group these two. I know we already talked about the other one, but The Highwaymen and Public Enemies. Those are more they're prison films or criminal films, mobster films, but they involve lots of car chases. They involve these characters, these detectives, these cops going on the road and having to hunt down the bad guys. So I think to me those definitely fit into the road thriller category. So why don't you tell us about The Highwaymen a little bit?
This is one I didn't really know anything about, and obviously the context of is Chasing Bonnie and Clyde, the untold true story of the legendary detective who brought down the notorious bank robbers Bonnie and Clyde. This was directed by John Lee Hancock, written by John Fusco, starring Kevin Costner, Woody Harrelson, Kathy Bates, John Carroll Lynch, Kim Dickens, Sons of Anarchy again, hello, William Sadler, Dean Denton, Thomas Mann, and I believe that's everybody that, if I mention, you'll have a slight idea about who it is. All right, so we're talking about the notorious bank robbers Bonnie and Clyde. If going into that, you think, hey, it's a movie about Bonnie and Clyde. Okay, cool. We're going to see some bank robberies. We're going to see this, that, and the other thing. Good stuff. But no, this is one of those movies where they focus on the supporting character. You know what I mean? Gosh, I can't think of an example right off the top of my head.
It'd be like watching a Marvel movie from the perspective of Coulson, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's great.
It's like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's exactly the metaphor I was looking for. Thank you, sir. Really, really good, though. I mean, you get your typical Kevin Costner, Yellowstone, gritty, ragged, get off my lawn.
Yeah, he's old. He's retired. Yeah.
Wife doesn't want him to go out. That whole deal. Just really fun, really fantastic movie, though.
Yeah, it's one of those films. It took me a while to watch it. I just got around to it either this year or the end of last year. I can't remember which. I think it was this year. It's there. So as a movie person or a TV person, there's always stuff that I look at and I go, oh, well, I'm going to really like that. In my mind, sometimes that'll push that movie or TV series back in order because I'm like, oh, well, let me try to find something that I don't know about or something I'm not sure if I'm going to like and see how that is. Because I'll get to that eventually. And that's what happened with Highwaymen. It's like I knew I was going to like this movie, so I just kind of put it off for so long. Yep. But the road thriller part of it comes into the fact that Woody Harrelson and Kevin Costner's characters have to then basically get in a car and they're reactivated. They're U.S. Marshal or Texas Rangers that are reactivated basically by the governor or mayor of the area that they're in. and they are given like, free to do basically almost do whatever they want to go and
Carte
capture the
blanche,
Bonnie
I
and Clyde.
believe, something
Carte
along those
blanche, yeah.
lines.
They're still being watched. That she still wants Kathy Bates, who plays the person in charge, still wants her people to bring them to justice.
I got a James Bond vibe from Kathy Bates. Like, all right, 007, here you
Yes.
are. Here's your license to kill.
Exactly. Um, and so she still wants to look good, but she wants it, to be under her terms. Where it comes down to it, like the other cops just aren't as good as these two, and they're the ones that eventually end up bringing them to justice. They let them have they don't need to be at the parade. They're parading the bodies down the street, the bullet riddled car, and it was just it's one of those movies that it's a modern, I would not modern day, but it's like it feels like a western, but it's really just like a cops and robbers type film. And then you throw in the road element to it, and the fact that they're driving all across that area to try and find these two. And it brings up a lot of parallels to society today, and what makes they were looked at as Robin Hood. That's how they were looked at. Yet they killed a lot of innocent people that
Mm-hmm.
didn't have anything to do with what they were doing, even though they were stealing money, giving it back to people, stealing from the banks. They weren't stealing hard-earned people's money, but they were killing people. So, some of that, they really kind of level that in this movie, where I feel like the Bonnie and Clyde movies romanticize them a lot. And this one takes a lot of that away. It shows that they were romanticized by the people of the time, but it definitely puts more of a different weight on it. Of like, they were also, yes, maybe they started out with good intentions, but in the end, they were pretty bad people. But it's a really cool movie, really cool. Some Public Enemies is something I would say is very similar. You get Christian Bale who's hunting down Johnny Depp's character, and they have to a lot of road travel in that one too. That one does come down to an end though, like just at a movie theater, so not a bloody, violent road end. Um, One other one that I really wanted to get into, Wayne, and this is one of the last ones I thought of. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Is True Romance. True Romance may not be thought of as like a road thriller, but a lot of what happens takes place when Christian Slater and Alabama, played by Patricia Arquette, are on the run on the road. A lot of the um, tense moments and stuff are while they're traveling and stuff like that, and they're trying to stay away from the bad guys and the mob and all that stuff. So True, it's just, I mean, written by Quentin Tarantino, directed by Tony Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Stylistic, it's amazing. The performances are fantastic. Christian Slater, Christopher Walken, Dennis Hopper, Patricia Arquette, Gary Oldman, Samuel L. Jackson, um, Michael Rappaport, Brad Pitt in a very early role, very small role. Uh, uh, um, Tony Soprano, what's his name?
Gandolfini.
James Gandolfini's in it. There's freaking Balky or Bartakamus from Bronson Pinchot is in it as well. Sal Rubinek. Freaking Val Kilmer plays Elvis. I mean, this movie's got fucking everything. So, True Romance. We haven't really talked about it on this podcast that much, but I love this movie. It's one of my favorites. I watched it all the time back in the day. High recommendation. Maybe I'm cheating a little bit putting it into the road thrillers, but I don't care. It's our podcast, so we can do it.
There you go.
All right, some other ones. I think we talked about Breakdown, Wayne. The Hitcher, either one, the original or the remake. I like the remake too with Sean Bean. Ones that we reviewed on this podcast. Beckett with John David Washington, definitely road thriller. No exit, like a rest stop horror film essentially. So involves road travel to get there. And then the huge Liam Neeson one, Ice Road, another road thriller.
A lot
Glorious.
of people just did not like, but we, found the good in it.
Yeah, it was entertaining. I thought it was entertaining. A lot of people, I think, sometimes with the Netflix films, for some reason, people are judging them a lot harder. I think because they want movies to be back in theaters. So maybe I get that to an extent. But I thought Ice Road was good. Let's see, Rest Stop, Glorious. Those are both like rest stop movies, but they're still involve road travel. Logan, we talked about in the X-Men podcast that we did. Logan is totally like a road thriller. It's Wolverine and Professor X and X-23 on the run. I
Yeah,
mean, like the
it's the
entire movie.
way superhero movies should be a lot more.
Yeah,
Just gritty and bloody and violent for what it is.
right. Exactly for what someone with giant metal claws can do to you. And then the other two are two serial killer movies, California and Natural Born Killers. Uh, both road serial killer movies, both a lot of fun. Really good performances. Brad Pitt, Juliette Lewis in California, and then Natural Born Killers, Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis. So her liking to kill people, I guess, on camera. Yeah, so that's it for the road thriller. Lots of good stuff there, you guys. Go and watch those. Next is our review
Of the week.
and we have a road thriller, as we've talked about already. It is called End of the Road. I know Wayne was hoping for a song.
No Boys to Men, -5 points.
But it did have a great Nappy Roots song at the end, which I love. So I thought that was great. All right, so End of the Road. It stars. Well, it's not on Wikipedia yet, so I'm going to bring up the IMDb. We have Queen Latifah, Chris Bridges, aka Ludacris,
Move.
Bo Bridges, no relation, as far as I know.
Cousins.
maybe distant cousins. Michaela Lee, Sean Dixon. They play the two children of the film. And that's pretty much your main cast there. We'll mention also Frances Lee McCain, who plays Bo Bridges' wife in the film. So End of the Road is starts out with Queen Latifah and her family. Ludacris and her play brother and sister, and she has two kids. Her husband died of a serious illness. We're not really given the details. Assume cancer, but they had a bed in the house, and that's where he died. And they're now out of money because she had to basically spend all her money and all her medical bills. She has a lot of medical bills to pay for his treatment. They did mention chemo, so it definitely was cancer of some kind. And they're moving to Houston with her family. So they're going on this big road trip to go to her and Ludacris's mom and dad's house. And they have to go from California to Houston. Mm-hmm. So early on, we're given a taste of the South in Arizona, where we get these two white douchebags who are just racist to be racist. Which, I could already. It's one of these movies, Wayne, too. When that scene happened, I'm like, oh, here, cue the people online. Oh, this woke movie, blah blah blah, and I'm like, I could see people doing this. So, like, it's to me, it's not as unbelievable as people probably think it is.
The people saying that are okay with what happened in that scene. It's like,
right, yeah,
die in a fire,
yeah,
painfully, you fuck. Like not again. We like to keep it as even line and not lean politically one way or the other. But god damn it, I'm sick of that shit.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Once I saw that stuff, I was like, okay, this is going to spark some conversations for sure. All right, so we're given some lead up, so that they get incident with like people on the road. They get past that, and then they are at a hotel, and this is where the movie kind of jumps off. And we're introduced early on to a drug deal thing going on. One of the guys turns on the other guy, takes the money, and runs. So that's going to come into play later.
This was a fantastic scene. I don't know if you've done a lot of road tripping in your life, but I know that being stuck in a car all day and finally just getting to, lay down or watch TV and just relax, and just the scene where you're just goofing around and having fun and just bam, quite literally.
Yep, exactly.
Like,
there's a gunshot from the room next door, which the guy had already pounded on the wall for them to be quiet when they were having fun. So they hear this gunshot. It's about 4 a.m., Queen Latifah mentions. And so she's a nurse. I think she had told us that before. So she's a nurse. She's like, I'm going to go check it out. They wait for the guy who did the shooting to leave, and he checks their door. It's locked, and he just walks away. So they go and they try to save this guy's life. And underneath the sink, we know what it is. Ludacris sees a bag. and you already, it's not like it's a secret. You already know, you're like, okay, he's going to fucking take that back, which has lots of money in it. Has drug money in it.
Yeah.
And so there's where our problem starts. Okay, so they do this. The sheriff, played by Beau Bridges, shows up. He wants to question them. They're already on their way because they were road tripping. They wanted to get to Houston. They gave their statement to the police officer.
This is where I got the vibe for No Country for Old Men.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, it definitely has a No Country vibe to it. Not to compare, because I know a lot of people are like comparing it to No Country. Like, yes, I get No Country is a great film, but it does have a lot of those. It does have some similarities too in this.
Just vibey.
Yes,
vibe,
exactly. And especially in the Beau Bridges character, very, very No Country for Old Men early on.
Yeah, just yeah. Okay.
I'll say this: there is a twist. We're not going to say what it is, but I was like, when I saw someone's name in the credits, I was like, oh, they're probably the villain, right? And there's a twist later that happens that you'll see once you see the movie. It's an hour and a half long. It's a 90-minute film, so it's kind of a breeze to watch.
How about Ludacris, though? Like, I don't know what age range he's supposed to be in, but my man's at least 45, maybe closer to 50, and he looked like a really young man, like 20 years younger than me.
He did. It's funny you bring that up, because we were watching it last night, and Rebecca's like, "That's Ludacris." She's like, "Why does he look so young?" I'm like, "I have no idea." And he did. He looked young. He's very youthful.
I was hoping, obviously, with him being in the Fast franchise, there would be a reference to family.
Yeah, I know. We kept doing that throughout. Rebecca even said it at the end when he's driving the car. She's like, "Well, he's got some friends, right? They're going to come up." And like, wouldn't it be great if Vin Diesel just blasted onto the scene and hit the other family?
I don't have friends. I have family.
I also, we reviewed Daybreak a couple weeks ago, and we got Snoop Dogg saying "West Side Forever, motherfuckers." I would have been okay since he was driving if there was a move. Bitch, get out the way. Just like very, very tonally, like not the song, but just like in those words said in that way, because you could say that without having it sound like the song. I wanted it, I didn't get it. This movie a little bit more serious, I would say, than
especially at the end when it's the duo.
Yes,
like he's trying. Damn, move, bitch, get out the way. See, if we would have wrote this,
Luda would just been like, "Why is all my dialogue my songs? I don't appreciate this. Say the words, Luda."
Because we celebrate your entire catalog.
Yes,
just like
say the words, Christopher. It's one of those movies. Probably about halfway through, I was like, "Okay, I dig this film," because it's very enjoyable. It's very entertaining. It's a quick watch. There's some good action beats in it. There's some good hand-to-hand stuff with Latifah and a bunch of racists, which is a part that plays off pretty fun. It's not like
yeah. I mean, she's not your next action hero by
any
means.
No, not at all. But she does handle herself pretty well. She uses her size to advantage. So there's the one scene when someone's coming at her, she puts her arms up, and she's got the big arms, so it's like they can't get to her. I'm like, yes, there you go.
I missed. I was aiming for your balls.
Yeah, that was a good line.
That's what I appreciate. This is not a great movie by any stretch, but I do enjoy the one-liners.
Oh, there were some good one-liners which were unexpected. I definitely did not see that coming. What was the one you were quoting earlier, Elaine? We won't give context, but Clorox, motherfucker. There's some really good moments in this film. I enjoyed this film for what it was. And it's pure entertainment. Like that's what, when I saw this trailer, I'm like, okay, this looks like a movie I can get into. The trailer again reminded me. I keep going back to this movie. Reminded me of Breakdown with Kurt Russell. I love that movie. So all right, I'm in. Our premise already, I was in from the beginning.
I was in when I found out Queen Latifah's in it because
she's a fun actress, man. Whatever you want to say about her, she's a fun actress. She makes things entertaining. There's no over long drawn out scenes or anything. Everything's very quick, very rapid fire. She's a very quick thinker in this film, which I think is nice. Some people, there may be some, I don't know if she could do all this and that. And it's like, just take into your mindset, like, what would you do if you were trying to save your children? Maybe you can't do all this stuff either, but if you give yourself that I'm going to do anything to get back to them. You know, you're I think you're probably capable of a lot more than you think you are. So there is a lot
There's a hero.
there could have been I will say this, there could have been a better soundtrack. There were so many other songs they could have used. They could have thrown a Luda, they could have slid a Luda one in there somewhere, but they did not. I waited to check afterwards to see if I had missed one. But yeah, I think a very entertaining movie, Wayne. I would say 7 to 7.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed myself with this one. I could see myself definitely watching it again if I go like on a road thriller marathon of some kind.
Yeah,
It
I was at
definitely,
about 6.5. I thought six
yeah,
and a half, 7.
yeah.
So
So we're similar in a similar wavelength there. I will say too, it was kind of interesting to see it with you had Ludacris and Queen Latifah being brother sister. You know, as soon as I saw that there was a trailer for this movie, I'm like, oh, they're going to be a married couple. You know, but I like the dynamic of them being brother sister. I thought that was really cool, and something a little different than what we see.
I, of course, appreciated the Friday throwback. Nobody
Yes.
go in there for at least 2, maybe 3 hours.
Yep, I did. Yeah, there was. You could tell he had fun with some of his lines as well.
Yep.
But yeah, this is it's a really fun movie. I think pretty much anybody could watch it. It is rated R. There is some gore and stuff towards the end, which I was very happy with.
Very good at the end. I was like, yes!
But aside from that, there's nothing that's like too bad for like teenagers. Like I think like a 12-year-old could watch it and be okay.
Yep.
But it's definitely worth checking out, I think. I mean, if you got nothing else to watch, it's like I said, the fact that it's 91 minutes is a huge plus. Especially because the credits were like 5 to 7 minutes, so that the movie itself is under an hour and a half long. And yeah, I know people don't maybe like, oh, well, just because it's short, you like it. You know what? There's nothing wrong. It's more movies I get to watch, the shorter a movie is. That's just kind of how I look at it.
I think if this movie was any longer, it'd start to dip and kind of drag.
It would.
So
That was
fantastic.
yes. I think 90 minutes was the perfect length for this film because it kind of gets in and gets out, and you get that whole hour and a half. You get everything that you want out of it. It's just It's just a fun movie. It's entertainment, and I think people should definitely check it out. All right, Wayne. Anything that you watched this week and you want to talk about?
I am making my way through Virgin River. I finally made it to season 4, and it's pretty good. It's Virgin River, so it's a drama. Yeah, I enjoy it very, very much.
Yep.
Kind of have put the brakes on Smallville right now because I've run out of stuff because I am still focusing on House of the Dragon. Episode 3 was fantastic. So no spoilers, no anything like that. But it was like it's up there with like peak Game of Thrones. So
Yeah. Okay.
it was just
yeah. I heard it was really good. I haven't started watching it yet. I'm
all
with
3
you.
episodes have been very pleasing. So
yeah, with you. I'm kind of like I started binging Shameless. I've taken a bit of a break after getting through like 3.5 seasons because I'm like I need to watch some more movies, and I've got a long way to go still. So, we watched last weekend. We streamed Devil in Ohio, which is a new mini limited series on Netflix. It's based off a book. It takes place obviously in Ohio. It's about a girl who escapes a cult, and it stars Emily Deschanel from Bones. And it was pretty good. I do recommend people watch it. The story's really good. The kids give really good performances. I felt the adults were a bit off at times. I don't know if it's the material or what, but it's still a very entertaining show. I watched The Twin on Shudder. Do not recommend. Not very good. Love in the Villa. If you like Netflix rom-coms, you're going to like that one. It stars Kat Graham. Possum on Shudder. It's an older one. Sean Harris from the recent Mission Impossible films, plays a puppeteer who returns to his hometown to burn the giant spider-looking puppet that has been like one of his main things for most of his life, and it's also been like something of like just in his head. It's like run his mind, and he's kind of nutty at this point in time that we meet him. There's a lot more to it than that. So I was expecting like this puppet's going to start talking to him and stuff. It's a very psychological film. It's about trauma. It's about abuse, stuff you experience as a child and you kind of bury deep down. That's a lot what it's about. It's very quick when it's only like 80 some minutes long. Really good. Definitely, I think could trigger some people though, because it definitely has some very sensitive stuff that it talks about. If you follow me, you may have seen that the last couple days I've been talking about Solemn. Solemn is a new movie that just hit Shudder. It's out of Africa. It's these three guys that are mercenaries in 2003 during one of the wars that's going on in I think Senegal. And it's a very deep movie, but it's very stylistic. It looks really badass. I love this movie. It's so good. I want people to watch it. It is a horror film, so it does have some horror elements. About halfway through, you kind of start to figure out what that is. But it's just the emotional beats in it, the drama, the trauma. It's got a lot of, similar to Possum, it deals with a lot of like abuse stuff that's kind of in one of the main characters. It's kind of in him, and it's it's coming to the surface. Really good. Action, horror, drama, just tension. It's a really, really good movie. I really want people to watch this. And finally, I watched a movie that I never really even thought about watching, The Bridges of Madison County, directed by Clint Eastwood, starring him and Meryl Streep. When this movie came out in the 90s, I was a teenager. I was like, I'm not going to watch that. That's just two old people making out. I don't need to see that. Now that I am an old person, I guess it's about time that I saw it. My wife said she really loved this movie. We never really even talked about it, but it's on Netflix right now. It's really good. It's a really good romantic drama taking place over 4 days in the past in 1965.
So you're telling me it's better than Cry Macho?
Yeah, oh my God. I mean, The Twin, which I did not like, was better than Cry Macho. So just about anything I've talked about is better than Cry Macho right now. Yes, leaps and bounds above. It's believable because it was 30 years ago. He was actually a believable love interest. Not now. Oddly enough, when he was like 65, he was a believable love interest. That's what's crazy, is that's about how he was probably in his late 50s, early 60s when he made this movie. So yeah, no, it's a good one. If you're like me and you avoided Bridges of Madison County, I recommend checking it out. It's not bad. It's pretty good. It's it's a drama. It's a romance drama, so you kind of get what you get out of it. All right, so let's do news and notes, and then we'll wrap this baby up here. All right.
I'm gonna put a bow on this pig.
I don't know what that means. Nick Cage. Woo-wee, good looking. From Face Off. I was thinking about that for some reason earlier. Nick Cage and Joel Kinnaman to star in thriller Sympathy for the Devil. Judge Reinhold and John Ashton are returning to Beverly Hills Cop in the new sequel for Netflix called Beverly Hills Cop Axel Foley. Zazie Beetz joins Steven Soderbergh and Ed Solomon's HBO Max limited series Full Circle. Kernan Shipka joins Jake Kasdan's Red One holiday film over at Amazon Studios. The Rock and Chris Evans will star in the film. Kevin Smith is officially making Tusk 2 for her first film's 10-year anniversary. Pretty Little Liars Original Sin Season 2 ordered at HBO Max. Samara Weaving to star in borderline thriller about a 90s pop star. Squid Game star Lee Young-jae joins Amanda Stenberg and Jodie Turner-Smith in Star Wars The Acolyte series. Handmaid's Tale to end with the 6th season and live on in spin-off called Testaments. Catherine Keener joins Joker 2. Peter Farrelly in talks to direct new R-rated comedy Ricky Stenicki with Zac Efron and John Cena. Paper Girls canceled after 1 season at Amazon Prime. Zach Gilford joins Criminal Minds reboot. Barry Jenkins' Lion King prequel, officially titled Mustafa. Yesterday, on Friday the 9th, Disney announced Inside Out 2 is officially happening and will come out in the summer of 2024. Amy Poehler will be returning, but Bill Hader and Mindy Kaling apparently have turned down the lowball offer that they were given from Disney, so no word on if the rest of the cast will join them or join Amy Poehler in the film. Release is coming up. Luckiest Girl Alive starring Mila Kunis hits Netflix October 7th. Troll from the director of the newest Tomb Raider and the disaster film The Wave hits Netflix December 1st. Causeway with Jennifer Lawrence hits Apple Plus November 4th. Significant Others, a new horror thriller that reteams Mika Monroe with her villains directors, hits Paramount Plus October 7th. The Peripheral, New series starring Chloe Grace Moretz hits Prime Video October 21st. Disenchanted, sequel to Enchanted, debuts on Disney Plus and sees Amy Adams return in the lead role. And then finally, Disney Pixar's Elemental hits theaters June 16th, 2023. Deaths this week: Peter Straub, horror author and Stephen King collaborator, dead at 79. David Arnold, comedian, dead at 54. Bernard Shaw, former CNN anchor, dead at 82. And then, of course, Queen Elizabeth II, dead at 96. No matter whatever feelings you have about the monarchy or not, the Queen has died. She's been the Queen for 70 years. So basically, almost everybody you know, she's been the only Queen of England. So the only ruler of England for the most part, and most of the people that you know in your life. So I think that's pretty interesting, all of it in itself. But yeah, that's the show for this week, everybody. Wayne, any final thoughts?
I don't care if gold saves the queen. I don't even know what that means. Hey, for those that are upset that she has passed on, condolences, but it is what it is.
It's kind of, that's how I am. Like, it doesn't affect me. I didn't really hold the royal family, and I didn't really, not that I hated them, but I never really looked at them any other way, to be honest. They were just the royal family. So, but yeah.
Once
so,
again,
all right,
thank you for, if you've stuck with us till the end, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, everybody. That's another episode of Now Showing with Mike and Wayne.
Reagan, the actor?
Hasta la vista, baby.
Hey, everybody, we're all gonna get laid.